up, my beautiful broken people? It's your boy Ben Piggies, and in today's video, I'm gonna go over a question that I get asked pretty frequently, and that is how I got my shoulders. As you can see, my shoulders are like, yeah, nah. But for real though, I do get this question asked a lot, and I'm gonna share with you how my shoulders came to be the way they are. So to go in depth of that, we're just gonna go with the history of me and my shoulder building exercises and workouts from the past. I started my for real fitness journey about 4 to 5 years ago, and that's when I started doing high volume hypertrophy workouts, which just means intense bodybuilding style workouts. Basically working my muscles to failure, or working with supersets, working with triple sets, drop sets. If you don't know what those are, I'll go in depth with what those are later. But you need to first learn what the shoulder actually entails, and that is the 3 heads of the shoulder. And that is the anterior delt, which allows your shoulder to raise up forward like this or do any pressing motions. Then you have the lateral delt, which is a side shoulder, which allows your shoulder or arms to be lifted up like this. And then you have the rear delt, right? And that is the most neglected one, and that is what allows your shoulder to do that. So I basically did 2 times per week of high volume training, and I was working with progressive overload, which just means week to week I would try to make progress, whether it be increasing the amount of weight I was pushing, or increasing the amount of sets I was doing, or increasing the amount of reps I was doing. Mainly I was working within the rep ranges of 8 to 15, and I was doing that for about 4 to 5 years. Okay, and that gained me lots of shoulder size, shoulder development, the aesthetic look of a nice physique. Nowadays, I do a lot of boxing training. So I do boxing training about 3 to 4 times a week. That includes heavy bag training, sparring, and shadow boxing, which does work the shoulder a lot, just not the same way it used to work the shoulder. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what I mean, that means I don't lift a lot of heavy weight. I actually just punch a lot. So imagine you doing running or sprinting, but now with your arms instead of your legs. So that's how my shoulders are the way they are now, mostly. And I only do full body strength and conditioning 2 times a week. So now I don't specify a certain body part. I work the entire body, about 2 exercises each, and we're mainly working on power or speed and force production. And then later on, I also work with strength endurance, so getting the muscle to work for longer periods of time. Okay, so the rep ranges range from either 3 to 7 for now, or for strength endurance, they can range from anywhere from like 15 to like 30, which is a lot. Which does put your shoulder into different stressors, which causes it to adapt differently and force it to change in a different way. Which you can see back in my day, my shoulder used to have more of a rounded cap look. I mean, it still kind of does, but you see how we don't work the side delt as much in boxing. Like, we don't do a lot of this. So that's why my side delt isn't as developed anymore. But the anterior delt and the rear delt does get plenty of work, because you're doing a lot of punching and recoiling, punching and recoiling, punching and recoiling. And I do have recovery days 1 to 2 times a week, mainly because you just need more recovery now, because boxing takes a lot out of you, and the strength training, and then the program, just everything just a lot at once. Now here's a question that I want to personally answer, and that would be, what would I have done differently when I first started my fitness journey, or like gaining shoulder size aesthetic journey? Well, what would I have done different? And the basic thing, or two main things. I would have done a lot more shoulder mobility exercises, right? Because once you start gaining a lot of size within the shoulder and you neglect the mobility work, right, you basically cannot move your shoulder in 360 degrees of motion, which is what it's supposed to do, right? And you can't It's hard to reach things. You know what I mean? So I still want to be able to do that with a lot more ease, but because I didn't do a lot of those before, my shoulder mobility is not up to where I want it to be. And because of not doing the shoulder mobility work, you sometimes you end up with impingement. So when I was starting doing a lot of volume training, I would get a little bit of pain within the top of my shoulder, and that was just because, one, overtraining, but two, impingement, right? You just start gaining size and gaining tightness, and you're not stretching it out, you're not making sure it's going through all of its range of motion. The other thing I would have done more was, on top of the mobility training, is stretching. Lots of stretching. Okay? So you can see right now, right? I can't really touch my fingers together. I mean, it's a lot better than before, right? And you see how it's different on this side, right? Okay. I would like to be able to touch those fingers together. That means my flexibility in the deltoid and mobility within the shoulder is not up to snuff. It's not where I want it to be. So we wanted to get there so that I have less chance of shoulder injuries. I haven't had any yet, but I want less chance, okay? We don't want injuries here. This is what this is all about. I want to never have any more crazy injuries ever again, or even chronic or nagging injuries. And that is pretty much the basis of all of my training, of what I used to do and what I do now, and why my shoulder looks the way it does. It may not be spectacular to some people, but it's the way I'm built, okay? Some people have amazing genetics, they don't have to do much, and their shoulder looks amazing. I just happen to have worked so hard and, got this far. And that is all for this video, this topic. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. I'll be sure to answer them whenever I can. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Don't forget to visit benpeakies.fit to get you some sweet gear. And as always, your boy Ben Peakies